Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Paige, here once again with another video on the Elseworlds crossover. This is my review for the finale or part 3 of this crossover. It's been a hell of a journey. It's only been 3 days, but it feels like we've been watching for 3 months or something like that. But it's been an enjoyable crossover. We're going to wrap it up in this video. But of course, if you have not watched the episode, go watch it because some massive stuff happens in this episode. Towards the end especially, so go watch it and come back to this later on. But of course, if you've watched it and you go on to enjoy this video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like in the video, especially, is that a word? Especially if that stinger at the end just made you go, my brain. If the word was my brain that came to your head, then leave a like. If anything else came to your head, just show your support. But man, we'll get to that, that ending. We'll get to that in a second, but yeah. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on this episode. Did you like it? What did you think this episode was in comparison to the other ones? Was it your favourite? Was it your second favourite? Or was it your least favourite? Out of the 3, let me know in the comment section down below, as well as just your overall opinions. But yeah, simply to wrap up last episode, we had Batwoman come into it. Awesome. Awesome to have her there. I thought she did a good job. Ruby Rose, Cade Kane, and Batwoman. Interested to see more of her as we go forward. And yeah, to end it off, essentially, the Monitor got the book back from the Geek Squad and gave it to Dr. Destiny or John Deegan, and he completely rewrote reality. We saw Barry and Oliver as the Trigger twins at the end of last episode, and we're in a completely different Earth 1. But we start off this episode by hearing John Deegan. He does the intro. It wasn't Supergirl doing it, it was John Deegan. I thought that was really fitting. And the theories that a lot of people had yesterday in regards to who the black-suited Superman was, because this was on Earth 1, there's no Superman on Earth 1, so reality sort of couldn't... There's no Clark Kent either, so reality couldn't be changed to make Clark Kent Superman. It really wouldn't have made sense. So the theory that a lot of people were coming to, and that I also thought about when I was watching the episode again, because it made sense due to what John Deegan had said earlier on the episode, that he could have made himself a superhero. John Deegan is this black-suited Superman, which does make him the complete villain of the crossover, which people were sort of confused about whether it was John Deegan or Black Suit Superman. Well, he was both. But Deegan in this reality isn't like an evil Superman. Deep down, he's evil. He's the bad guy. But to the general public, he's a hero. He's saving kids and all of that. So he's a hero to them, not a villain. And the villains really in this situation are actually Barry and Oliver as the Trigger twins. Now we see that this is obviously Central City. It's not in National City on Earth 1. This is Central City on Earth 1. And this Black Suit Superman, or the Deegan Superman, we'll call him now, and then we'll change him to a different name later on. But the Deegan Superman works at a Star Labs, and who works at Star Labs? It's Diggle and Killer Frost. Now, it's not just Caitlin Snow, she's Killer Frost, so that's pretty cool. And we also do find out that Alex Danvers also works for this, the Deegan Superman at Star Labs. Now, this is just a coincidence. Obviously, Deegan didn't know about Alex Danvers or anything like that because Kara is not from this Earth, so she's not in the records or anything that could be changed in this reality. So she's just an anomaly, and that's why the Deegan Superman puts her in that cell, because he can't change her. There's nothing really going on because she doesn't exist in this reality. She's not a part of the Book of Souls or the Book of Destiny, whatever you want to call it. Now, when Barry and Oliver are actually going to talk to Cisco and they're trying to find him, we actually see them both go to see the Monitor in space. Now, I'm guessing this was the Monitor Sphere. So the Monitor Sphere is, okay, so imagine you have, oh, just almost knocked my notes. If you have, this, here's the multiverse, okay? Then you have an outer layer, and then there's the Monitor Sphere, which is basically almost it's like the stratosphere and stuff in the atmosphere. So you have the normal multiverse with all the different Earths inside, whether they be infinite or confined to 52 Earths. They're in there, and then there's the Monitor Sphere on the outside, and that's where the Monitor oversees everything. So that's where they most likely were. You couldn't see any planets around there. It was just basically a floating disc, yeah, and they're standing on that. Obviously on a green screen soundstage, but that's basically where they were if anyone wanted an explanation. But we do hear the Monitor tell them that he's basically impressed by the fact that they were able to not obviously beat the Deegan Superman, but sort of outdo him in that situation and outsmart him without powers, which was actually, the Monitor was fairly impressed. Now, we knew going into this last episode that there would be a cameo from a Legends of Tomorrow character, and who is that character? It was Gary. So if you don't watch Legends of Tomorrow, you probably wouldn't have got that cameo because he wasn't in the crossover last season. So you would have only got the Legends cameo if it was Ray or Sarah or Nate or Mick or something like that. But this is a character that's just really central to Legends rather than being known to people that don't watch the show. But we see that Gary is a bartender in a bar, I guess, where we have the boss, otherwise known as this reality Cisco Ramon. Also there we have Jimmy Olsen, who is known as Superman's worst pal. Obviously a play on him being the best pal of Superman in the comics, and I guess in the Arrowverse as well, even though it's not really referred to that much. Now, one of the funnier moments in this episode actually came when Cisco, in this reality, who still has breaching powers, and that's how he became rich and stuff like that, because he was able to breach into bank vaults and take money and all of that, so that's how he got his riches. He can still breach, he's still a metahuman, he can still vibe. So they breach to Earth 38 for the Fortress of Solitude, and Superman's there with Lois, and he thinks, oh, okay, you're back to Barry and Oliver, and he's like, okay, sweet, and he's like, oh, not exactly, and he sees Cisco in the background. Usually it's been Barry, Oliver, and Kara, so Superman looks at Cisco and goes, Kara. I don't know if anyone else found that funny. I was drinking at the time, and I was like, oh, like I sort of like had to, I almost choked on my drink. It was just a randomly funny moment that I wasn't expecting, and I think it was the funniest moment of the episode. Maybe my comedy is just, more my humor is just a bit out of whack with everyone else's, but I found that hilarious. Now in this episode, like the Flash and Arrow, we had a conversation and a speech that maybe dragged on a bit too long. That was like we had in Flash and Arrow. So in the Flash episode we had, it wasn't one conversation, but there was two conversations between Barry and Iris that, when put together, was maybe a bit too much time in the episode, them talking together. In the Arrow episode we had Caitlin and Felicity talk, which maybe that conversation dragged down. You could maybe argue the Oliver and Felicity conversation dragged out towards the end as well, even though I think that was really pivotal to Arrow's storyline this season. And then in this episode we had a conversation with Kara and Alex, which I definitely think out of the three dragged on the most. And the reason that I think it dragged on the most and wasn't relevant is because this is a Earth 1 Alex Danvers that isn't relevant to our story. So I think that's the biggest issue around this speech going for so long. Fair enough, it was Earth 38 Alex Danvers that had her reality changed and all like that. But this was Earth 1 Alex Danvers, who we're probably not going to see again unless they do something next year, which we'll dive into later on. So felt like it was sort of pointless spending, fair enough doing a bit of it, but it felt like it was just too much for a character that isn't really relevant in regards to the Supergirl show, because it's a version of a character from a different Earth. Now, of course, we hear Cisco call the Deegan Superman Super Dick, so we're sticking with Super Dick. So we see Superman, our Superman, taking on Super Dick, and I thought it was a pretty good fight. Obviously, it seems as if our Superman is seen as the Bizarro in this reality, because I think that lady in the office called him Bizarro. So he obviously saw Superman, obviously beforehand, that fight against Amazo, so he just makes him the Bizarro of this reality, I'm guessing. We do see that the Fortress of Solitude in this reality is just the time vault, so that's where the Book of Destiny is sitting, so I guess that makes it easier. Just to go to the time vault, why not? It's in Starlab, so it's an easy journey. But we do finally get to see the Super Squad get their powers back, which we all knew was going to happen, because I think it's actually it was in the promo for this episode from yesterday. So we knew they were getting their powers back, because how would they even stand a chance of taking down Super Dick? But speaking of Super Dick, he gets the book back. So, that's dangerous. And he starts changing reality again. And in order to try and stop it, they're going to try and basically have, so here's planet Earth. Sorry about these hand diagrams and hand examples. Here's planet Earth, and Supergirl's going to go one way, and the Flash is going to go another way, and they're just going to keep going around the Earth, and that's actually going to slow it down. And the issue with this is that in the book, when Superman was changing reality back from what Super Dick had done, he actually saw Kara and Barry die. They were destined to die, and obviously, Superman doesn't want that to happen. This is when we see Oliver actually visit the Monitor in a pretty demanding way, raising his voice and everything like that, and he wants to have the Monitor alter their fates and try and stop that from happening. Now, we don't see the direct effects from what Oliver might have dealt and made a deal with in regards to the Monitor and all that. We don't see that. We do get a tease of what that probably most likely was right at the end of the episode, but at that point, it's left as a mystery. Now, during this time, we actually do see Brainy or Brainiac 5, Martian Manhunter, and Lois Lane show up with the hammer, which I think is the thing that Cisco touched in the Fortress of Solitude that made that sort of big flash of light. I think that's what he touched. So we see them all show up. It was a Supergirl episode. In Arrow we had Arrow characters, in Flash we had Flash characters. So in Supergirl you got to bring some of the Supergirl characters over as well. So they showed up. That's okay. Brainiac deals with Amazo, and most people, no one, if you don't watch Supergirl, you wouldn't have known a Brainiac 5. It wasn't in last year's crossover, so there's your introduction to him, I guess. But this leads to us actually seeing Barry and Kara slow down time, and it looks like they're actually going to die. But then Oliver rocks up with a destiny arrow. I'm going to call it that because it was glowing blue, I think. It wasn't a kryptonite arrow. It looked like a destiny arrow, and he shoots it at the Book of Destiny and just, well, stops destiny from happening. And due to this, we actually see John Deegan officially become Dr. Destiny. He gets like the full-on look from the comics, like the skull sort of look on his face. Pretty disgusting, to be completely honest, to look at it, but he actually becomes Dr. Destiny from the comics. If you look up the character, you'll see he has like a skull. In some iterations, he actually has like an issue where he just basically goes to bone, and then I think in some he just wears a skull mask. In this case, they've just basically made his face looks sort of bony. But to wrap up like the Superman stuff in this crossover, we have Lois actually getting pregnant. We go back to Smallville on Earth 38, and Lois reveals to Clark that she's pregnant. Now, the actress in real life, Bitsy Tulloch, I think her name is, I think she's pregnant in real life. I think she actually announced it on Twitter like the other day. So she's pregnant in real life, or it might have been announced earlier, I don't know. I'm pretty sure she's pregnant in real life though. But they're going to go back to Argo to basically protect themselves, and also because it's an alien baby, it's half alien, they're going to have to sort of get some technology from Argo to deal with, you know, some pain that Lois would most likely be feeling. But of course, you don't want to be giving, you know, having a baby out of wedlock, you know, the traditional marriage or baby, I guess. So we have Superman or Clark Kent proposing to Lois, and it seems like she's been waiting for that for a while. It seems like she was definitely eager, so it seems like she was on a bit of a clock saying, look, it's been a while, mate. Finally, you propose. Now we have that classic Barry and Oliver bar scene, which I know the Invasion crossover ended with it. Did the Crisis on Earth X crossover end with it as well? It might have, I can't remember. But we have that bar scene, which was great to have just Oliver and Barry talking and just discussing what they've been through, to be completely honest. No hug though. Oliver doesn't want a hug this time around, so let's avoid that. But Oliver gets a phone call, and it's Kate Kane, aka, well, she's Batwoman at the time. Oliver's like, oh, I'm surprised, you know, you didn't want us, you didn't want to, you know, deal with us anymore. And she's talking about whether Dr. Destiny is going to be an issue because he's actually made a new friend in prison. And who's this friend of Dr. Destiny or John Deegan? It's Psycho Pirate. And he's actually speaking the words that he says in the Crisis on Infinite stories, like worlds will live, worlds will die, or something like that. Which is from Crisis on Infinite Earths, might I say. And that's when we get the big tease that next year in 2019, the big crossover event is going to be Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, a lot of people were thinking that we might get the Monitor teasing something, but I think having Dr. Destiny and Psycho Pirate there being the tease is big, because Psycho Pirate, his introduction did really speak up some like, oh, Crisis on Infinite Earths is happening, oh my god. And then his appearance in the Arrow episode yesterday wasn't that great, and everyone was like, oh, that was a bit disappointing. But that's because it was just set up. It was just introducing the characters, then you can do that little end scene, which sets up everything to happen in next year's crossover. Obviously, we don't know what the deal with the deal that Oliver made with the Monitor was. We just know that he got a Destiny arrow. So let me know what you think that deal was. I'm going to guess the deal was that they're going to be the Earth, that, you know, their group is going to be the group that helps the Monitor take on the Anti-Monitor. I'm guessing that's what the deal is. Who knows what other heroes from other Earths might come into it. But, you know, obviously our core group of Green Arrow, Supergirl, Flash, maybe not Superman, because it seems like he's going to be gone for longer than that time, you know, before that event happened. So who knows who else is going to be brought into it. People from other Earths, or just going to be our core group on Earth 1. And then I guess Supergirl coming from Earth 38. Man, I can't believe they're doing it. We've all wanted it. And like you can beg and go, we want it. But then when it finally happens, you're like, oh crap, this is actually happening next season. So, you know, 62 days of hype until the Crisis on Infinite Earths event happens on DCTV. Obviously, this is an event that I think a lot of people want to happen in the movies, which it could still happen in like 10 years' time. But to see all the build-up that we've had since Flash Season 1 to this, you know, Crisis event, it's going to be so worth it. Obviously, it's going to happen earlier by the looks of it. So not going to happen in 2024. They're going to make it happen in 2019, which, when you think about it, makes sense. Because the event that, if Barry had originally become the Flash in 2020, then there would have been that time period where he just vanishes in 2024, the Crisis event, but Barry became the Flash much earlier, so it's actually almost overdue for the Crisis event to happen in this Flash's life. You know, he was 4 years old as the Flash when the original Crisis happened in the OG timeline. Now he's been the Flash for 5, going on 6 years. So it's actually overdue when you think about it. Hopefully I'm making sense there. But overall for this episode, I thought the first half was a bit meh. I thought it was a bit average, but it was really just setting up what was going to happen in the last half. Felt the action was really cool. Obviously, the battle to take down the Super Dick was really good, and just the setup for next year's crossover. I think it's something we all wanted. Having the monitor here, I think we all knew they were going to set up Crisis on Infinite Earths. It happened. We can all be happy with that. Man, I'm just so happy that it's finally happening. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, guys, and you just enjoyed the hype that this episode built, be sure to drop a like on the video to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions. What was your favorite part? What didn't you like too much? Just your overall opinions. And what would you rank the crossover episodes from 1, 2, 3? Obviously, 1 being the best, 3 being the worst. Let me know all of that in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.